Ameera, thank you for honoring my invitation to show on my show today. Uh, I've I've been opportune to work with you closely during the fall semester while we were consulting for McDonald's.
Yeah,
And you are an amazing person, sometimes very annoying actually.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
In a good way,
Yeah.
because you're a perfectionist.
Oh,
But in 3 words, can you describe yourself to the audience?
wow.
Mm,
Firstly, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I really do. This is so great. Kudos to you for doing this.
Thank you.
Secondly, no, I'm leaving. I'm not playing with him right now. He gave me 3 words to describe myself. 3.
Yes, 3.
No, I'm leaving. I'm
No,
not
no, no, no,
playing.
no, no, no,
I'm
no,
just
no,
kidding.
please.
No, I'm just kidding. Should have given me a blank book. I would have written a novel on it.
I understand. I understand.
3 words. Okay, that is kind of difficult. I really have not put any thought into it, but 3 words. You might not believe it, but I'd say empath.
Mhm. Really?
See, there you go. Hardworking for sure.
I agree.
You can agree to that. I believe confident.
I agree that one.
Yeah.
That part is what makes you actually annoying. So sorry to say.
I know that part, which is why I'll take it. It's fine. I know that part very well. But okay.
Ameera, you are originally not from America.
No, I'm not.
You are also not a British citizen.
No, I'm not.
And you have a very good command of English.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I would want to know, how did you develop the skill?
So you don't want to know where I'm originally from?
I said Pakistan.
Yeah, I'm from Pakistan originally, yeah. I was also not born and raised in Pakistan. I was born and raised in Saudi, in Middle East.
In Saudi?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, in Middle East.
So you understand Arabic very well?
See, that's the tricky part. I was not very much engaged with people who speak Arabic or Arabs when I was very little. Like I'm an international here in the US right now. I was always an international student, or I was always in an international setting in Saudi. So I was always interacting with people who were international over there, students or family gatherings or say whatever. So it was either a native language or it was either English, which was just at school. But if you say that that is what polished my English, I'm not sure that's basically true, because I used to read a lot. I think that contributed to it. Then I used to watch a lot of TV shows, movies, talk shows. There was a time as I was so focused on the geopolitical situations around the world, and I used to watch like crazy. There was a time I used to watch these news channels, how these anchors would speak in so many of those shows. So I think that also contributed to that. And then it definitely did. It did polish a lot after coming here in the US.
Now, sorry, I want to ask you a very, very a shocking one for me, but I think you will make a very good political leader. Are you thinking on trying to do something in that area, in that regard?
I agree with you, because I too think so. I really do. I think so too, that I would make a very good politician. Yeah. I think I do well, not just at the parts where you speak, but at the parts where you actually do. I would. But there was a time I used to think about it, but as of right now, I don't think so. Not right now.
Do you know the statistics of women representation in Pakistani politics? Like the government of Pakistani women were represented in the political affair?
So many. There's so many that I was inspired from. There's so many that I dislike. But there are some. I'm not a fan of democracy, honestly. I'm not. It's surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, it's surprising.
So if you bring democracy and kingdomship
you prefer
in comparison, both has their ups and downs, but democracy can get very nasty. I hope I can say that on your show.
Well, Aristotle, one of the famous scholar of politics, once said that, I think he is the one that said, Plato, that said that democracy gives room for foolish people to actually govern.
There you go.
Yeah, and
there you go.
That aligns with your bias. Are you from a royal home? Like, are you from a royal background?
Rare background.
Yeah. For you to advocate for kingdomship.
Oh, I'm originally from Pakistan. That's not a kingdom.
Yeah.
But I was born and raised in Saudi. That is a kingdom. I was always not a part of the good parts of the kingdomship, where you get the good parts, the benefits, or all those things under a kingdomship. But I would still prefer a kingdomship setting. Still prefer to live, to grow in a kingdomship situation, especially if the democracy is as crazy as it is right now, right here where I'm living. But yes, there are good parts of it. There's ups and downs of both the situations, like I said. But there's too much bickering in the democracy. And you're right, somebody who said that it does give room for the foolish people to grow on the name of a freedom of speech, freedom of thought. All the foolish people also have that freedom, just as the intelligent people have, or just as the wise man has. The naughty ones have it too.
Are you not scared people will come after you for saying that democracy, especially here in the United States?
Scared? Me?
Of course, I don't expect you to be scared. You have never
Come on, please don't come at me. I'm just giving my opinions. This is how I feel about the setting. I'm talking about my preference. I've not named any names yet, but but we're just talking about how I feel about it.
Okay, for someone who is so bold as a Muslim and confident, should I say you are a feminist?
Define feminist.
Feminist. Feminist based on the normal definition, not what the new generation of ladies have been able to define it as or interpreted it as, is when one seeks equality among all genders, like trying to make sure that every gender is well represented equally, which I don't think is going to be possible. But in so many, the Facebook feminist, the social media feminist is one that is quite toxic.
Right?
Yeah, so are you a feminist? And what kind of feminist are you? The social media feminist or the real feminist?
You're right again. No, you're right. Okay. I don't want to say yes, I'm a feminist, or no, I'm not a feminist. I don't want to say I will prioritize the female gender just because I'm a female. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
Regardless of if you're a feminist or if you're not. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Now, if you talk about you being a feminist and you would like the females who are qualified or who have the potential to work or to do all those things that a man can do, gender equality, there's a gray area right here, because you're talking to me from a perspective of me being a Muslim.
Yes.
There's some gray area. It's not as black and white. It's not as simple as black and white. I'm still not answering the question whether I am a feminist or I'm not a feminist.
Are you trying to be politically correct?
No, I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care.
Because
right is right, wrong is wrong.
Right is right, wrong is wrong.
So, and I'm not a fan of democracy, so I really don't care.
So are you a feminist?
Right is right, wrong is wrong. That's it.
Okay, I have noticed something about you severally. The first time was with Gaika, the first day we went to the ELC office. He made an attempt to have a handshake with you. Sorry, Gaika, and thank you for being polite. And you said, and I observed that you don't shake men. And the second time was one of the executives of McDonald's, those we worked with. One of them tried to actually shake you too, and I observed you didn't agree to shake the person, and you disagreed politely. So what actually informed your decision? Is it because you grew up in Saudi Arabia or because you're a Muslim?
Yeah, I think it's just because I am a Muslim.
You're a Muslim?
That is because I'm a Muslim. This is one aspect of me just practicing my religion. This is just one aspect of me trying to be better at practicing my religion on a daily basis. I don't shake hands with men. I try not to, regardless of whatever setting, whoever the person is. I don't do it. That's just me practicing my religion.
But can anything else changes your disposition? Maybe economic advantage. Maybe become maybe a CEO, because I definitely will be. You already behave like one of an organization, and you want to actually win a contract or get favor from someone or from an organization. Will you compromise your Islamic standard of not shaking men?
I have been in instances where I could have done that. I have been in situations where I might have lost a position, I might have lost a job, I might have seen people frowning upon it, or I've heard comments about it, but no. I hope it stays the same. I hope God does not put me on a spot where I'm in a situation different than this one, but I don't think so. Also, I'm not an easy influence. So you can't just tell me that, okay, if I go ahead and do this, I get some kind of benefit out of it. No, I've given up a lot for some of the principles or the morals. No, I'm not the best practicing Muslim out there. Don't put me on spot like that, please. But like I mentioned earlier, this is one of the aspects of me trying to be a better practicing one.
Wow.
And I really don't care who the front person is. This has happened on the day of my graduation. This has happened in job interviews. It has happened, but I don't. You know what is surprising is I've had 2 graduations in this year. My undergrad in May, and then my master's was this December, past December 24. It happened too. It is fine. It's a culture. I understand. It's professionalism. Everything. I understand, but I don't. So I did not. On my second graduation, so many job interviews, so many professors, none of that. So no, I'm not an easy influence, and I don't think I will just give that up just because I could maybe get a better job or a promotion or maybe a political campaigning. I don't think I will, but yeah.
I'm a Christian, but I grew up in the northern part of Nigeria that is dominated by Muslims. So, and you can easily tell based on my question, I ask a question from an informed perspective. And here in the United States, it's in no man's area. Everybody can actually act weird and nobody will care about you. So I don't know if I'm in a very good position to actually say I'm proud of you, because someone who is higher should say I'm proud of you.
No.
Yeah,
but I appreciate it.
Yeah, for not compromising your standard. And what advice do you have for the younger generation of Muslim ladies living in the United States, and some of them who are actually practicing, and because of the fact they are practicing some of these values, some of opportunities, but they don't get some of opportunities as a result of because of their core standard values. So what advice do you have for the younger Muslims in the United States and all over the world?
See, this is tricky business over here again. It really is. No, it could go very long, or I could just give some vague answer to this question. But Muslims in the U.S. is a topic that can go on and on. Not just the U.S., anywhere in the Western country or anywhere in a non-Muslim country. That's tricky business. And I myself am one here in North America, one of the worst places a Muslim can be, but okay. I don't know. I don't want to turn your podcast into an Islamic podcast right now. I don't mean to steal your thunder at all. Stay in the Muslim country.
Stay in the Muslim country?
Yes.
Really?
It's shocking, isn't it? Stay in the Muslim country. See, I'm telling you, it's tricky business. You want me to talk about it or shed some light on it on a very lighter note?
Just briefly.
You've got time for that?
Yeah, just briefly.
You can say, who am I to talk about it while I'm still here myself? And I'm saying that stay in your country. Not just Muslim women, but also men. So basically Muslims. I'm gonna try to be polite and not hurt anybody's feelings. No feminists to hurt over here. I don't mean to do that. But Muslims are asked or told to stay in Muslim countries so they are free to practice their religion openly and raise their kids in an Islamic setting and teach them the Islamic rulings of the religion openly, without thinking without thinking the what ifs of trying to practice your religion openly, because there's so many places in the world where Muslims cannot. Paris is amongst the top ones. They cannot, but they're still living there. I'm not painting everybody with the same brush here. This is a very small aspect of, again, the religion itself. Everybody is on a different path. Everybody has different values. Everybody has different goals, different priorities. But I just want to make this clear for you, since you were very shocked when I said stay in a Muslim country. I'm just trying to make this clear. Muslims are asked to stay in a Muslim country because of the reason I mentioned. Now, migration, which nowadays everybody's behind immigration, right?
Yeah.
Migration is allowed. Migration is allowed under certain circumstances. If you are in a non-Muslim country where you cannot be practicing your religion openly, if you're in hiding, it's absolutely not acceptable, then you are asked to migrate. You can move to a non-Muslim country for study purposes, which has to be temporary, even work purposes, which again has to be temporary, or to spread a knowledge. To spread the knowledge of Islam permanently. I could be wrong to some people, but it is what it is. I'm not a feminist. Right is right, wrong is wrong. I'm here for educational purposes. I am going back.
A lot of your fans are willing to actually hear what's next after
I've
your
got
graduation.
fans.
Of
That's
course,
interesting.
Of course. You have scouts, of course, our coach, who'd want to know your plans after graduation. I wouldn't want to dwell much on this conversation because of the sensitivity of this conversation.
You're right. Yeah. So it's again a small part, but
yeah.
It's under circumstances that you're supposed to do it. Under circumstances you're not supposed to do it. It's a big topic for another podcast, for another time, where we have time to dwell on it. But yeah.
Okay. There's something that I know for my Muslim friends in the northern Nigeria. At a very young age, they go to Islamia, that is Islamic school, when they learn how to memorize Quran.
Yeah.
When they also learn Hadith.
Yeah.
And I have some Muslim friends here who are actually parents, and I asked them how about their children, do they take them to Islamia? Some of them were admit because they're international students. It's very expensive.
Yes.
So for a Muslim who is raising his or her kids here in the United States, what advice do you have for those kind of people in terms of trying to ensure that their children get Islamic knowledge?
Stay in the country. But you don't have to go beyond your limits to pay for Islamic schooling. See, this is another struggle that we face. When we live in an Islamic country where it's easy access to the knowledge, to the Islamic schooling, to everything that is related to Islam, when you leave that country, migrating to a non-Muslim country, these struggles increase, where you're trying to ensure that my kid, my family is in touch with the Islamic schools, Islamic scholars, Islamic community, and then you start forming a community with like-minded people, which is again a very small, very minute percentage of people. So then those struggles increase when you do this, especially if you're doing it for if you're doing it for that purpose, money purposes or status purposes and stuff like that. Everybody has different paths. Everybody has their different reasons. I do completely understand that. Not painting everybody with the same brush again, but there's some circumstances. And it's basically the same race these days. Everybody's running in the same race. It is about money.
So another question that is not entirely not connected to this, but it's about your prayer life as a Muslim. Because I know in Nigeria, I always use Nigeria as a reference because I also did Islamic studies in my junior high school.
Oh.
Yeah, so I can even recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Yes.
You what?
I can recite Surah Al-Fatiha.
You did?
Yes, I did.
It's good.
I was one of the best in my class.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, so.
I don't doubt it.
So, the Muslim, you pray 5 times a day, right?
That's right.
And I want to ask you a lot of questions. One, because I want us to go through this. And again, there is something called halal meat and food.
Oh my God! You are turning this into an Islamic podcast, and I don't think I'm saying it over and over again. I I absolutely don't think that I am the correct person to be asking, because I'm no scholar.
I understand.
I am no scholar. I could
it's
be
based on your
wrong
personal practice of Islam.
So I'm just in the practicing of doing it as best as possible.
So how does the system here like influence your praying life in terms of trying to meet up with the 5 times prayer a day, and as well trying to, and how do you try to ensure that you eat halal meat and food?
No, that's not that difficult. It's not even that tricky. Some people make a big deal out of it. Some take it easy, but I don't know who labels this country a Christian country, but this is a Christian country.
Is it?
There you go. Some say it's a Christian country, but is it? But okay, if it's a Christian country anywhere in the world, you can eat whatever you want. Yeah? Some go by that book. Some say that you absolutely cannot eat. It has to be halal, and what makes it halal is the way you slaughter it. You slaughter it in the name of Allah. The animal does not have to feel it. The animal does not have to go through any pain. It's in the way of slaughtering it. But everything's mass produced these days. Who's slaughtering it with hand over here? So some people do go by the rule that it's not a necessity. It's not an absolute necessity that you do just eat the halal meat. You can eat, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's a preference that you only eat that meat. It's basically a preference.
So are you trying to tell me that sometimes you don't eat halal meat?
No, I am going by the rule that I only eat halal. I'm still following that. Okay. I only eat halal.
Okay. And your prayer, do you pray 5 times a day?
I try my best to. But yes, if you ask me what's influencing, there is no influence over here. Okay. Nothing is influencing it. So you just have to stay on top of it. If you want to pray, you just have to make sure you have a space to pray, a setting. I've prayed in weird places. I've prayed in my car so many times. I've prayed in restaurants. I've prayed in the ELC in the back office all the time.
Oh, I see.
You know the small office space?
I know. Yes, I think I know.
The corner room, a door on the right side when you keep walking all the way at the front. I've prayed over there. I've prayed in staircases around Barsima all the time.
Staircase?
You know there's staircases on both the ends in Barsima Hall?
Yes.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So, again, a misconception about praying that you have to have a separate specific piece of cloth. You have to have a separate room. No, it just has to be a clean place.
Okay, that is a sunnah. I want to ask you, are you single or married?
How did you come from me praying 5 times a day to
Because there's a question I would like to ask you based on some an Islamic practice. Okay. Where a economically well-to-do man is entitled to 4 women as 4 wives. I'm
sorry, what? You said entitled to?
Yes.
To what?
To 4 wives.
Okay, which part are we talking about?
So
me being single or?
Because I have this question, you answering this question, because I just want to personalize the question.
Mm-hmm. I'm just giving a hard time. Go ahead.
Okay. So are you single or married?
I'm single right now.
You're single.
I was married.
No.
Why? Why are you giving me that reaction? Why? Okay, why? Really? Is it so unbelievable that I could be married?
Oh, you don't look like someone who has gone through the stress of marriage.
Oh.
Yeah, you look like someone who has all been about professional life.
See?
And
surprise.
Education.
Don't judge a book by the cover. You cannot tell what's going on in somebody else's life just by what you see. Prime example in front of you. You just said it. I don't look like I've gone through the stress. I've gone through a horrible stress of being married. Then I divorced.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing about your marriage to the audience? To me?
I mean, I divorced him for so many reasons, for the better future of my kid.
So you have a kid? Really?
Wow. Yeah, I do. My little girl. I love her. She's my whole world. Oh my God, my heart is gonna well up. Yes.
She's here with you?
No, unfortunately, no.
She's with her dad?
Unfortunately.
No. Yes?
Yes. But yes, I've been married, then I divorced my ex-husband, and I do have a girl. She's turning 8 coming March.
8? Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna let that sink in for a little. I'm gonna let you adjust to that.
Ameera. Wow.
So it was stressful, which is why I broke it off, right? I'm not saying whose fault it was, who's not, but yes, I broke it off. Maybe that's a conversation for another time.
Okay. Do you subscribe to the idea of, boy, do you even have an option?
In what?
In the whole idea of a Muslim man who's economically buoyant being entitled to 4 women. You personally, would you marry someone who is married to 3 wives, you being the 4th wife, or you being the 1st wife and he adding more 3 wives? Or are you just selfish?
That's fine. It does say marry your woman into 2s, 3s, or 4s, but if you cannot do justice, marry only one. That is one of the core aspects of marrying multiple women.
Yeah.
Doing justice to them. Now we can move away from the Islamic perspective and go into a little personalizing it to every single woman about how she would feel. It's a different concept altogether. No religious scripture other than the Quran says marry one. Quran is the only one that says if you cannot do justice. Marry one woman. Do I even want to marry again? That's the first question. Do I even want to marry again? Because you didn't know that I was married earlier.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Do I want to go through the stress of it again? This should be the first question.
So you agree with me that marriage is stress?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, yes. It is.
So you are better off now that you are not married than when you are married?
That's definitely true. I mean, you can grow in ways that you might not be able to. It's, again, a very vast topic. Some people do well, some people don't. I think I do best alone. I feel very powerful. I do my best alone. I think life's lived best when you're alone.
Ameera, I know very well that most times you don't care whose ox is God, but don't you care when maybe your parent, especially your mom, hears you say you don't care about getting married again?
I never said my mom doesn't care.
Like, don't you care about her feelings when she hears?
Yeah, I know. I'm just playing around with you. If you talk about marriage, yes, I know I have to get married. But if that person has a wife already, he wants to marry me, the wife's okay. I don't know if the...
So you are open to that?
I am open to that, yes.
But for instance, you are the first, like he marries you.
Okay.
And he wants to add more women,
okay,
like more wives. Would you accept that offer?
I think at the age that I am right now, the experiences that I have had, I'm not sure, but I think I'll be okay. It could change with time, but...
Could change with time.
It could. It's a feeling, right? It's a feeling, it's an emotion right now. We're talking about if I would feel okay in doing that. I'm not in that setting right now, but if I'm just thinking practically, if I'm just absolutely thinking about it metaphorically, I'd be okay. But now, if it was my first marriage, if I was in my early 20s, if I was in love, if that person is very loving and caring, I can understand where a woman would not want to share a husband. That's just how humans are wired. That's just how women are wired. They don't want to share, which is understandable. But then again, I'm not at that stage.
Okay. You're trying to tell me because of the stage you are. And moreover, I know you are too knowledgeable. And that makes you think.
Thank you.
And that makes you think.
It.
And I think that makes you think that you are, maybe, let me say you are getting much older, but I know your age. You are not that old in terms of numbers.
Well, I'm 30, almost.
Are you sure?
This year I'll turn 30. So I'm 30.
The last time you said 26. And Scott was there.
26th is the birth date.
Oh. Well, you have this mix of Gen Z and millennial.
That's the best part. That is the best part, I'd say. I do enjoy throwing people off like that a lot. I honestly do. I get those mixed reactions from people all the time, but yeah.
Okay, I see. Now, I've asked you a lot of questions about your belief, your
Yeah.
personal life. Now, let's talk about your academic life.
Mm-hmm.
You are one of the higher achieving students I've met in my life here at NIU.
Thank you.
Your record impresses me, and yeah, and I remember the other day you were saying even the dean will be tired seeing your name in the dean list all the time. How and you're always busy. You rarely sleep. You are either working or you're doing something. How did you achieve all this feats, this academic excellence?
I always say I think I'm going to compare myself to women here. To girls, to women, to ladies, to the feminine energy. I always think, and I've always said that, I believe that I'm just a little different. I think I'm a little stronger in terms of will. I think I'm just a little stronger than. You're right, it was not easy, but I did it. That's just because maybe I had to do it.
And you also graduated before the record time. Like you did your bachelor, did your masters together. How did you? Like, how many courses did you take per semester?
Oof, my first semester. I'm so glad you brought this up because I don't think nobody knows this. I just don't think anybody knows this. But I was taking 8 classes in the first semester of my master's. So 4 grad.
8 classes?
4 grad, which is already an overload. And then there were 4 undergrad because I was doing grad and undergrad at the same time.
And you didn't have problem with intentional or
I
student?
did. I had to fight my way through it. Russ was the advisor at that time, and I was on very good terms with him. Do you know Russ?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite staff here at NIU.
Russ was the advisor of my department at that time, and I got into a fight with him too. He was like, "It's not possible." I'm like, "Watch me do it." He's like, "Do whatever you want. I'm here, you're here. We'll see how it ends." I'm like, "We'll see." Dr. Peterson was not a fan of it, but he was like, "Oh, it's not possible." I'm like, "I'll do it. You just have to assign it. You just have to permit this document, please." But yeah.
And I know the reason why he was insisting that it was not really possible was he was just, it doesn't make any logical sense that someone can actually take 8 classes and still do well in all of them.
Still do well, being in the dean's list as an undergrad and as a grad, and then graduated from my undergrad in May 24 and still continued with my master's over the summer, and then again took an overload in my last semester, graduated December 24 with my master's, again a dean's list, even in the summer, even in my last semester.
So why were you rushing?
I'm sorry?
Why were you rushing to graduate?
Why was I rushing? Well, get to the next chapter. Get to the next chapter of life. See, this is something about me. I know this is what I have to do.
Okay.
This is the end goal of a certain aspect in that moment, and I just need to get that done and jump onto the next one, onto the next one, onto the next one. But there was a lot of things going on. My brother with his cancer, he's been dealing with cancer for the past 1.5 years. He's well right now. He's well right now. That was going on at that time. I was doing then I was working part-time.
At the ALC as a student worker?
As a student worker. Then there has not been a time that I've not been working at least 2 jobs. At least 2 jobs. So, and then the whole situation with my daughter, because I don't have her here, so I was losing some legal battles at that time. In order to continue my education, I had to give some things up. So I was weighing my options as well. I was just rushing because I had to get it done, because that was my entire goal. My master's was my top priority. My master's was, everything to me at that time, before my next goal, before the next chapter in life, my master's was the most important aspect at that time, and I had to get it done, and I had to do it well.
And now that you have been able to go through this unprecedented process of crashing your master's courses together
In a year.
Would you advise your enemy to do that?
My enemy?
Yes.
Wow, that's a nice way to put it. I absolutely love it. But my enemy, I've not had enemies like that. I don't have enemies, but I understand what you're saying. I think now that I'm done with it, I have lost the feeling of how difficult it was. But if I do put some thought into it, and I remember, especially ELC, don't tell Scott, but okay. I think it would not have been as stressful if you're not alone, or if you're financially stable, or if you're not working multiple jobs, if you're not in cross cultures. So if you're only doing your master's in a year with no external factors, it's not that bad. Late nights, early mornings, day in, day out. Being a girl in the whole process. It does have an impact. Men are different, women are different.
True.
So being a girl in the whole process, it just kind of adds to it. But you know what I am?
Yeah.
I'm a gangster. There you go. So I did it. I did it. Like I said, I think now that I'm done, I've lost the feeling of how difficult or how stressful it was. But if you have the money and you're not stressing about it, if you have family, if you have a partner, if you have all those things and all you have to do is study, it should be okay.
I wanted to ask a question, but I think that question is irrelevant.
What?
I don't want us to go back to that question. Sorry about that.
You're okay. You're fine.
But I think you earn the right to be annoyingly bold, like I've always described you to be. Yeah. Now we have the badge. I don't want to remove this because of the audience.
Oh, okay.
But you have earned my respect.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sometimes you need to actually understand someone's story to be able to appreciate their personality. And
you're right.
Yeah, now that I've heard your story, I've come to appreciate your personality even more. Because those time at ELC that maybe sometimes you are not comfortable maybe with the contribution in class, or you're not comfortable with what was going on, and you give that look. I remember.
Okay, wait. That look. We need to talk about that look right here. Okay, what is that look that I give when I am uncomfortable with delays or something that I dislike?
Yeah, instead of...
Okay, nobody's ever told me that I give that look, so...
Yeah, you do give that look, and I understand. You're a perfectionist. You
come on. You're too polite. You're too kind.
Yeah, so you are always driven by excellence. And it's common for, according to Scott, a high flyer individual. And for Scott to be like, I don't know if it's only Scott. I think all your professors, they like you.
That's true.
That's
very true.
I'm doing dual masters as well. I'm doing political science and information system management.
That's great.
And I was taking project management class.
With who?
With Professor Timothy.
Great. How did that go?
And I remember, because I'm always observant.
Okay.
We came to greet him. And he was the one asking, when will you be graduating? And Timothy seems to be a very busy person. And he said, I must be there. I must be there. You didn't even invite him for him to say, I must be there.
I
Then
know.
you have earned his respect. So,
yeah.
And how did you win the heart of your professors?
Oh, I did. I'm actually proud of that. I've had some of the best conversations here in the US with my professors. Some of the most impacting conversations that I've had are with my professors. I had a lot going on throughout my time that I've been here, not just master's, but even undergrad. I had a lot going on, and there was so many external factors that contributed to it. I don't have family here in the US, not a zitch, none. And no friends, but okay, I've met good people, but so to navigate through situations alone, I'm proud of it. I like it. All good, all golden. But with so much going on all the time, I made a promise to myself, regardless of whatever happens or whatever does not happen, I am going to show up.
You're gonna show up.
I was always the first bencher in every class. Sometimes I would not know what's going on. It's going above my head, but I'll show up. I will show up. I will sit there. I will ask if it does not make sense. I know people throw around this sentence a lot, that there are no stupid questions, there's no dumb questions, the only dumb question is the one that you don't ask. It is true. I've asked the most stupidest questions, the most dumbest questions, the most annoying questions from my professors. I've always gotten answers. Always. Show up. Even if it's a late night, even if it's an early morning, even if it's family crisis, even if it's financial issues, even if you're heartbroken, whatever it is, show up. That contributes to everything, regardless. Showing up matters. Showing up matters for yourself, showing up matters for others, showing up matters for family, showing up matters for friends, showing up matters for bosses, showing up matters for kids. Showing up goes a long way. So you should show up and it'll start to make sense. It could sound small, but it goes a long way.
Wow.
But show up. Show up for yourself. So it goes a long way.
Wow.
So, and that's how professors, if we're talking about professors, that's how professors can tell you apart. So show up. So I showed up for myself, regardless of what was going on. I showed up.
I'm talking about friends, because you said you don't have family here.
Yeah.
I know the first few weeks at ELC, I intentionally avoided you.
Reason being what?
That's a confession. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Happens to me all the time. Happens to me all the time. But what was your reasoning?
Because I just felt like this person is a time bomb. I don't know what I will do, and I'll offend this person.
Greatly put once again, Chooks. Awesome. I like it.
And you remember the first time you private chatted me, asking me something about our project. And I went straight to provide you the information you needed without even saying, hello, how are you doing? Sorry, that's not my character. I was just being scared and afraid of. I don't want to offend this person. And this is America. I don't want to be in a woman problem.
Wow, it was not gonna go that way, but
and okay. With time, I noticed you played a very significant part in trying to create a bond. You brought those initiative of buying pizzas. Like sometimes you come to the group chats, you make it lively despite the fact that you were very busy at the time.
Yeah.
I know you were just doing that to make sure, since maybe because you felt, because you're a staff at ELC, you took it upon yourself to make sure that our group were very, very outstanding. But now the question is, do you have friends here in the United States?
Friends? I guess I could say yes. I've met some good people along the way, but
did they insist on being your friend? Because I know you didn't insist on being their friend.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Stop it! You're just too polite. You're a good ego boost. I'm not sure you do that with everybody, or is it just me? But stop. I have friends, but you know how you've got friends, and then you start growing up with them. It's not that you're starting from scratch. Somebody who knows you, somebody who knows your story. You don't have to start from what's your name with everybody you meet. That's where I've started from with everybody here. Did we become friends later? Yes, we're in very good terms. I've got friends, that's true, but nobody that I've been carrying like that in a country like this. So everything was brand new. Does that answer your question?
Somehow.
Okay,
But
and
I have another confession, sorry. Because I gossiped you to someone that actually recommended ELC to me. I wouldn't mention his name because you don't know him.
That's
And
okay.
I said, hey, do you know this lady that works with the ELC? She behaves strange sometimes. She said, hey, Chooks, yes, I agree. That lady, she behaves so strange sometimes. So I believe that, like most people who have worked through that ELC, that believe you are a perfectionist.
Oh.
They know you are good. You can't behave strange if you don't know what you are doing, especially here in the United States. You will be reported severally. Oh?
I know what I'm doing all the time.
Yeah, so you are very professional.
Thank you.
Extremely professional. And I feel like most people have this similar opinion about you being a strange human being. And I think the best word that describes you is the words you coin. Not for yourself, for Professor Scott. Nicest, meanest person.
I said that myself, and I say that all the time. That's very true. I do believe that everybody who knows me is going to agree to that. I'm the nicest, meanest person you will ever meet, or anybody will ever meet. And I think that's a great place to be in.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm the most unfriendliest friendly person.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yes, I like it.
Well, and one of your favorite professor, Scott, has a question for you.
Who said Scott's my favorite?
Oh,
Scott's a gentleman.
Scott's very our favorite.
Scott's great. Scott is great. Scott's a gentleman, like I said. Scott's very understanding. He's very professional. If you're somebody who's looking, if you're somebody who's willing, if you're somebody who understands, he gives a lot without the intention of giving.
I agree.
He gives a lot of sage.
I agree.
Regardless, it's professional life, it's personal life. He gives away a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, without the intention of giving you, but he does. So just a conversation with him goes a long way for your personal growth.
I agree. Yeah, do you care to answer his question?
What was it?
Let me read it. I don't want to paraphrase it.
Okay.
He said, and I quote, Ameera, you are very well traveled as a student and professional. Mm-hmm. Describe challenges and positives of living and studying in the USA. Describe any other unique experiences from other countries.
The one thing that I'm going to put in comparison between countries is growth. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from Pakistan. I've been there. I've lived there as well, but I've lived most of my time in Middle East. I was born in Saudi. I've lived in parts of Middle East. I've lived in Dubai. I've lived in Qatar. I've lived in Bahrain.
Qatar.
Yeah. Middle East, maybe it was just the setting that I grew up in, but Middle East was very different. Saudi was very different a couple of years back. It was different. The one struggle that I struggled was growth. Mm-hmm. And which just growth over here was exponential. There is no measurement that I agree. The amount of growth that I have gone through in those past 2 to 3 years, I'm so thankful. I'm grateful that I got to experience that. So that's a comparison I'm going to do. There are so many parts, so many aspects of the United States that I disagree with, most of them. But the one thing that I always say is that it is so big.
I agree.
It is so vast. It is so diverse. And I don't just mean geographically. You could just keep growing.
I agree.
You could just keep growing.
God bless you, United States.
Oh my God. Just the neck at the back of my hair stood up. I got goosebumps. But yes. So growth is a high for me. But Middle East is different right now. It's very different. Middle East is home. Middle East will always be home. But things are different now. It's changing. But yeah, that's the one thing, if it answers his question.
I think it does. Okay, I have a question from one of your favorite person, I assume.
Me having a favorite person?
Of
Wow,
course.
that's interesting.
Yeah, our sociable Gaika.
Oh,
He really wants you to answer this question. He said he's so curious to hear what drove you to pick your major and what keep you motivated.
I think that last bit, the second part of the question, I just said it. Growth. Growth is a factor for me that just, I think it's very powerful. Personal growth, individual growth, everything that's growth, my family's growth, educational growth, financial growth. I'm driven by growth.
There's a quality that I've observed about you that I know most people have noticed as well. But I know, have you planned actually monetizing your public speaking skill? You have, like, even from what from our conversation, I've learned a lot. And I believe the audience too will learn a lot from it. And you're not even shy to make some statements. You make bold statements.
I do.
And I feel like somehow you are a positive role model, especially to the Muslim ladies.
Appreciate it.
Who are eager to actually grow.
Appreciate it.
So are you thinking of trying to actually monetize this your public speaking ability?
I think about it a lot, but it's just not, I've not had the time of doing it. But I was planning on going into PhD coming year, and I think we had a discussion about it. I think we did. Yeah, I remember now. Right outside the De La Vega lab, I believe. Yeah, I did think about it, and I had thought, this is what I had planned. That once I start with that, and when I will narrow it down to an area of focus into my research, into my PhD, I will start my own podcast, and I will start talking about it, and I will start looking for people or make a network of people with similar interests, and that'll be I think I would have grown in that as well while having my PhD. This would have been a factor, this would have been a setting that would give me a boost into my PhD. But I did think about having my own podcast so many times, so I waited for that time. And I was so excited when you told me, when you invited me here. Again, kudos to you for doing this. Good luck moving forward. And when you're all famous and rich, I'll come for you. No, prayers to you. Again, kudos to you for doing this. This year, I actually might start.
Give it a date, because I know you don't joke with your words.
I know.
Give it a date now.
I'm not one person I'm actually not that kind of person who would give away my plans. I do it. I always do it in silence. I plan in silence. I struggle in silence. I succeed in silence.
But in this case, planning in silence is actually giving room for procrastination.
You're right, but there's a lot that I need to do in between. I don't want to turn this into my personal podcast, but there's a lot that has to be taken care of. There's some legal issues. There's moving across countries once again. There's too much that's going on at this point, but I will.
Okay.
And when I will invite you over for my I will bully you on my podcast.
Don't do this.
Which is one of the qualities that I'm known for again.
Well, and now this is the last question. I know a lot of people would want to know what Ameera will be doing going forward. Now that PhD is suspended briefly, because I know you'll still go back to PhD.
See, this is bringing it back to the same statement I just said, that I'm not one to just publicize my plans about anything.
Are you the secret?
I'm sorry?
Are you the secret?
I just don't give it away. I give myself time. I plan, like I just said, I plan individually. I do it individually. I would go against all odds if I've made a decision. Like I said, if you remember, I always say that I'm a one-man army. When you said there were like 2.5 people, I said, what are you talking about? I myself am equal to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I if I make a decision, if you're telling me to give it a date, or you're telling me to give your plans, what's next for Ameera?
So what do you expect from you going forward?
Greatness, growth, something extraordinary, because I can't just stick with ordinary, right? Ordinary is not my thing.
Well, let me take
So
it, but it's quite vague.
extraordinary, something extraordinary. But yes, right now I think, I'm not sure when this will be available, but right now this is January 25, 2025.
Yeah, 2025.
2025. And I believe right now in the books for me, in the next chapter, is me going back home for my kid, my girl. She needs me. I
Wow.
know if anybody in my place, it's a difficult decision, but I made it. So I'm going to stick by it.
Wow. Thank you for coming to my show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
It took me a lot of courage to actually ask you, like invite you over here, thinking that you would say no to it.
Oh, I should have done that to you first.
Last thing you have to do for us is that, for me and the show, is that I want you to encourage the audience to actually subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Do I get something out of it?
Yes, like listening to great people like you.
Please do subscribe. You're going to have great things coming ahead from Chooks. I do believe in him. And very soon I'll have him on my podcast.
Thank you, Ameera.
It's going to be so great.
Thank you for coming.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Of course.